Welcome to Wealth and Wisdom Audiobooks. Today's documentary is inspired by one of the most influential books ever written on habit formation, combined with timeless principles from the world's greatest investors, where the world's greatest financial ideas become practical lessons for everyday life. Whether you're driving to work, exercising, or simply looking for a smarter way to build your future, you're investing in the most valuable asset you'll ever own, your mind. Today, we're exploring one of the most powerful ideas in personal finance, an idea so simple, yet so transformative, that it has quietly changed the lives of millions of people around the world. This isn't about making $1 million overnight. It isn't about predicting the stock market. And it certainly isn't about finding a secret investment that nobody else knows. It's about something much smaller, something almost invisible, something you do every single day, because the life you have tomorrow is being built by the habits you practice today. Imagine two young professionals. They graduate from the same university. They begin working at the same company. They earn almost identical salaries. They live in similar apartments. They drive similar cars. And from the outside, their lives appear almost exactly the same. But beneath the surface, something very different is happening. The first person spends just 15 minutes every evening learning about investing. Every payday, they automatically save a small percentage of their income. They avoid unnecessary debt. They read one financial book every month. And they steadily improve their skills. The second person tells themselves they'll start saving next year. They upgrade their phone every time a new model is released. They spend a little more than they earn. They believe there's plenty of time to think about investing later. 1 year passes. There's almost no visible difference. 5 years pass. The gap begins to grow. 10 years later, one has built investments that generate income. The other is still relying entirely on each monthly paycheck. What changed? Not intelligence, not luck, not education. Habits. Small decisions, repeated consistently, created dramatically different futures. And that's what today's documentary is about. Because wealth is rarely created by one extraordinary decision. It's created by thousands of ordinary decisions, made consistently, even when nobody is watching. Throughout history, the world's greatest investors have shared one surprising characteristic. They understood that success isn't built on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Instead, they built systems that continued working, even on days when they didn't feel inspired. Think about brushing your teeth. You probably don't wake up every morning filled with excitement about doing it. You simply do it, because it's become part of your identity. Imagine if investing, saving, learning, and managing money became just as automatic. How different would your financial future look? That's the hidden power of habits. They remove the need for constant willpower. One of the biggest myths about wealth is that successful people make better decisions. The truth is often much simpler. They make fewer bad decisions. Instead of trying to become rich overnight, they focus on becoming slightly better each day. Just 1% better. One extra page read. One unnecessary purchase avoided. One investment made. One new skill learned. Individually, these actions seem almost meaningless. But together, they become unstoppable. Imagine an airplane leaving London for New York. If the pilot changes direction by just 1 degree, the passengers won't notice. The plane still flies smoothly. Everything appears normal. But thousands of kilometers later, that tiny adjustment could take the aircraft to an entirely different destination. Life works the same way. Small choices, repeated over time, lead to completely different futures. Here's the challenge. Most people underestimate the power of small improvements because the results aren't immediate. Save $20 today, and your life doesn't suddenly change. Read 10 pages of a book, and you don't instantly become financially independent. Exercise once, and your body doesn't transform overnight. Because progress is invisible until it isn't. Think about a bamboo tree. After planting the seed, Nothing remarkable appears to happen. Weeks pass, months pass, sometimes even years. Beneath the soil, an enormous root system is quietly developing. Then one day, the bamboo suddenly begins growing at an astonishing speed. To an outside observer, it looks like overnight success. But the real work was happening long before anyone could see it. Financial success follows exactly the same pattern. Your habits are building invisible roots. Every smart decision, every dollar invested, every lesson learned is strengthening the foundation of your future. And in the next chapter, we'll discover why the smallest financial habits often produce the biggest lifetime rewards, and how you can begin building them starting today. Habit number 1. Make your future automatic. Imagine receiving your salary every month. For most people, the money arrives, bills are paid, shopping begins, entertainment follows, and if there's anything left, they might save it. But financially successful people often reverse that order. Before spending anything, they pay their future selves first. Not because they're wealthier, not because they're luckier, but because they understand a simple truth. What's automatic gets done. What's optional often gets delayed. Think about your monthly bills: electricity, internet, phone, insurance. Most people rarely forget to pay them. Why? Because they're scheduled, they're expected, they're automatic. Now imagine your investments working exactly the same way. The day your salary arrives, a percentage automatically moves into your investment account. No decisions, no emotions, no excuses. You're not relying on motivation anymore. You've created a system. And systems are far more reliable than motivation. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they'll save whatever is left at the end of the month. The reality is, there is almost never anything left, because spending naturally expands to match income. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. The more people earn, the more they spend. A bigger house, a newer car, better restaurants, more subscriptions, more luxury. Then one day, despite earning twice as much, they realize they still feel financially trapped. Not because they didn't earn enough, because every increase in income was matched by an increase in lifestyle. Imagine climbing a mountain. Every time you move higher, the mountain becomes taller. You'll never reach the top. That's exactly what lifestyle inflation feels like. Instead, successful wealth builders increase their investments first, and their lifestyle is second. That one habit alone, repeated over decades, can completely change a person's future. Now here's something fascinating. Many people believe millionaires have extraordinary self-control. In reality, research has shown something different. Many simply remove temptation from the equation. Instead of depending on willpower, they design environments that make good decisions easier. It's the same reason healthy people don't keep unhealthy food in every cupboard. Environment influences behavior. The same applies to money. If investing requires 10 complicated steps, you'll eventually postpone it. If investing happens automatically, you'll probably continue for years. Success often depends less on determination and more on intelligent design. Now let's explore another habit that changes everything. Habit number 2. Think like an owner. Take a moment and look around you. The phone in your hand, the chair you're sitting on, the coffee you're drinking, the car outside, the building across the street. Every one of those things exists because someone owns a business. Now ask yourself one question. Are you only buying from businesses, or do you own pieces of them? This is one of the biggest mindset shifts in wealth creation. Consumers spend, owners invest. Imagine walking into your favorite coffee shop every morning. You happily buy coffee, day after day, year after year. Now imagine also owning a tiny piece of the company. Every time customers walk through those doors, part of the business's success belongs to you. That's a completely different way of seeing the world. Instead of simply participating in the economy, you begin owning part of it. The wealthiest people don't just work for money. They own assets that continue producing value. Businesses, Investments, real estate, intellectual property. Assets generate income, even while their owners sleep. That's why successful investors constantly ask one question. Will this purchase make me richer, or simply make me look richer? It's a powerful question. A luxury watch might impress strangers. An investment portfolio creates freedom. One costs money, the other builds money. Every financial decision quietly moves you in one of two directions, toward freedom or away from it. The choice often appears small. But remember the airplane. One tiny adjustment today creates an entirely different destination tomorrow. Now let's explore the third habit. Habit number 3. Fall in love with learning. Imagine meeting two people. One stopped learning after finishing school. The other never stopped. Every week, they read, listen, study, practice, improve. 5 years later, who is more valuable? 10 years later? 20 years later? Knowledge compounds just like investments. Every new skill connects with previous knowledge. Ideas combine. Opportunities multiply. Confidence grows. One financial lesson can prevent years of expensive mistakes. One investing principle can change the course of an entire lifetime. The world's greatest investors share one characteristic. They're curious. They never believe they know everything. They continue reading, long after becoming successful, because they understand something incredibly important. Income usually follows value. The more problems you can solve, the more opportunities appear. That's why education isn't an expense. It's one of the highest return investments you'll ever make. And here's the best part. Nobody can take it away from you. Markets can fall, businesses can struggle, technology can change. But knowledge remains. It continues producing returns for the rest of your life. Imagine spending just 20 minutes every day learning something about investing, business, negotiation, communication, or leadership. 20 minutes doesn't sound life-changing until you repeat it every single day for 10 years. That's the hidden secret behind extraordinary success. Not extraordinary effort, extraordinary consistency. And in the next chapter, we're going to explore why tiny financial decisions, almost invisible in the moment, can eventually create a life of freedom that most people only dream about. Because every great fortune begins with one small habit, repeated one more time than everyone else. Because every great fortune begins with one small habit, repeated long enough to change a lifetime. Now, let me ask you a simple question. If someone offered you $1 million today, or the chance to improve your financial decisions by just 1% every day, which would you choose? Most people would take the money. It feels tangible, immediate, certain. But history tells us something extraordinary. Money without discipline usually disappears. Discipline without money eventually creates wealth. That's why so many lottery winners lose everything, while ordinary people quietly become millionaires through decades of consistent habits. The difference isn't opportunity. It's behavior. And behavior is built through habits. Habit number 4. Master the delayed reward. Imagine a young child sitting alone at a table. In front of them is a single marshmallow. The researcher smiles and says, "You can eat it now. But if you wait 15 minutes, you'll receive 2. Some children couldn't wait. Others sat patiently, resisting temptation. Years later, researchers discovered something remarkable. Many of the children who learned to delay gratification also developed stronger academic performance, better health, and greater financial stability later in life. Why? Because success often belongs to people who can sacrifice something small today for something much greater tomorrow. The same principle applies to money. Every financial decision asks the same question. Do you want immediate pleasure or lasting freedom? Every expensive impulse purchase, every unnecessary subscription, every emotional shopping decision quietly steals from your future. Not because buying something nice is wrong, but because repeated impulses become expensive habits. Imagine planting an apple tree. Would you dig it up every week just to see if it was growing? Of course not. You trust the process. You water it. You protect it. You remain patient. Investing works exactly the same way. People often abandon great financial plans simply because results aren't immediate. But wealth grows silently, just like roots beneath the ground. While others chase quick profits, successful investors quietly continue planting seeds because they understand the harvest always comes later. A lesson from Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors in history, didn't become successful because he made thousands of brilliant decisions every day. He became successful because he consistently made good decisions over a very long period of time. He often reminds investors that the stock market transfers wealth from the impatient to the patient. Think about that for a moment. The market doesn't reward panic. It doesn't reward excitement. It rewards discipline. Imagine watching the news during a market crash. Headlines scream, "Experts predict disaster." Fear spreads everywhere. Many people rush to sell. But disciplined investors ask a different question. Has the value of great businesses really disappeared? Or has fear simply created an opportunity? History repeatedly shows that every major crisis eventually passed. The companies that continued creating value recovered. Patient investors who remained calm often emerged stronger than before. This doesn't mean every investment succeeds. It means emotional decisions rarely do. The market constantly tests your emotions. Your greatest opponent isn't the economy. It isn't inflation. It isn't interest rates. It's the person staring back at you in the mirror. Habit number 5. Design your environment for success. Imagine walking into two different kitchens. In the first, fresh fruit sits on the table. Water is within reach. Healthy food fills the refrigerator. In the second kitchen, every counter is covered with sweets, soft drinks, chocolate, fast food. Which environment makes healthy choices easier? Exactly. Money works the same way. Your environment quietly influences your financial behavior. If shopping apps constantly send notifications, you'll probably spend more. If your credit card is always within easy reach, impulse buying becomes easier. If investing requires searching through dozens of passwords and websites, you'll probably postpone it. Successful people don't simply rely on discipline. They design environments where the right choice becomes the easy choice. Automatic investing, automatic savings, limited temptation, simple systems, small improvements. That's how habits become permanent. Remember, your future isn't created by one extraordinary day. It's created by ordinary days. Live consistently. Habit. And that's exactly where most people underestimate their own potential. Because they believe success requires dramatic change. In reality, it usually requires one better decision, repeated again and again and again. In the next chapter, we're going to explore perhaps the most overlooked habit of all, the habit that determines whether your income continues growing long after your salary stops increasing. Because your greatest investment may not be in the stock market at all. Because your greatest investment may not be in the stock market at all. It may be in yourself. Habit number 6. Become more valuable every year. Imagine two employees starting the same job. Both earn the same salary. Both work the same hours. But one makes a decision. Every evening, for just 30 minutes, they invest in themselves. They read books, take online courses, learn new technology, improve their communication skills, study leadership, understand investing, develop emotional intelligence. Meanwhile, the other employee believes graduation marked the end of learning. After work, they simply repeat the same routine, day after day, year after year. Now fast forward 10 years. Who do you think receives the better opportunities? Who earns the higher income? Who has greater confidence? Who adapts more easily when industries change? The answer is obvious. Because income usually follows value. The marketplace rewards people who solve bigger problems. Think about the people you admire most. Entrepreneurs, investors, innovators, leaders. None of them stopped learning after school. Learning became part of their lifestyle. They understood something incredibly powerful. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities naturally come your way. Knowledge creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. And results create freedom. That's why books remain one of the greatest investments ever created. For the price of a single meal, you can learn lessons that took someone decades to discover. One great idea, applied consistently, can completely change your financial future. Now let's look at the final habit. The habit that ties everything together. Habit number 7. Think in decades, not days. Modern life teaches us to expect everything immediately. Instant food, instant entertainment, instant deliveries, instant replies. So naturally, many people expect instant wealth. But wealth has never worked that way. Imagine planting an oak tree. For years, it appears almost unchanged. But beneath the surface, its roots continue growing stronger. Then, as the years pass, the tree becomes impossible to ignore. Strong, stable, built to last. Financial freedom grows exactly the same way. The first few years often feel slow. You invest consistently. Your portfolio grows, but not dramatically. You wonder if it's worth it. This is where most people quit. Not because the system failed, because they expected results too soon. But extraordinary success belongs to those who remain patient long after everyone else has given up. Every great investor understands this. Time is the greatest multiplier. The longer good habits continue, the more powerful they become. A habit repeated for 1 week creates very little change. A habit repeated for 10 years can transform an entire life. Never underestimate what consistent action can accomplish. Because consistency always beats intensity. Anyone can stay motivated for a weekend. Few people remain disciplined for 20 years. And that's exactly why the rewards become so extraordinary. Your 30-day wealth challenge. Before we finish, I'd like to leave you with a challenge. Not for next year. Not for next month. Starting today, for the next 30 days, choose just one financial habit. Only one. Perhaps you'll save 5% of every paycheck. Perhaps you'll read 10 pages of a finance book every evening. Perhaps you'll stop making impulse purchases. Perhaps you'll begin investing automatically. Whatever you choose, keep it simple. Keep it achievable. Most importantly, repeat it every single day. Don't focus on perfection. Focus on consistency. Because every repetition is another vote for the person you want to become. One day, you'll look back and realize your life didn't change because of one giant decision. It changed because of thousands of tiny ones. Final message. Financial freedom isn't reserved for geniuses. It isn't reserved for the lucky. And it certainly isn't reserved for people born into wealth. It's available to ordinary people who make extraordinary commitments. Not extraordinary efforts. Extraordinary consistency. Remember, every dollar you save is a seed. Every investment you make is another brick in the foundation of your future. Every book you read expands your ability to create value. Every habit you improve moves you one step closer to the life you truly want. The person you'll become in 10 years is quietly being shaped by the decisions you make today. So ask yourself, when you wake up tomorrow morning, what is one habit that your future self will thank you for? Start there. Keep going. Trust the process. Because success isn't built in a day. It's built daily. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you found this documentary valuable, Please support Wealth and Wisdom audiobooks by subscribing and sharing it with someone who wants to build a better financial future. Every week, we explore timeless ideas from the world's greatest thinkers on money, investing, business, and success, transforming powerful knowledge into practical action. Until next time, keep learning, keep investing, keep growing, and remember, the habits you build today will build the life you live tomorrow.